You're on mute, Ken.
Mute. Try that again. Good afternoon, everyone, from the IBD newsroom. Welcome to Stock Market Today. My name is Ken Shreve, joined today by Justin Nielsen. On today's show, we're going to take a look at the market, of course, another up session for the market. Nice day of outperformance for small caps and a pretty decent close. But before we talk about the major stock indexes, let me throw it over to Justin. I know, Justin, you've got three stocks you want to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to kind of take a potpourri across a couple different sectors. So we're going to start with the chip sector with Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, then move over to the housing stocks with Pulte Group, PHM, and then finish it off in retail with Five Below, FIVE.
All right, sounds good. Well, let's start by taking a look at a chart of the Nasdaq here at the close. We had the Nasdaq up about 0.5%. Mentioned small caps outperforming again. The Russell 2000 up 1.1%. S&P 500 up 0.8%, and the Dow up 0.4%. So let's take a look at a chart of the Nasdaq here. Justin, we closed off highs, but we're still in a confirmed uptrend here.
Yeah, and I think what was kind of impressive was the fact that there's still this kind of little back and forth going on with the stimulus. The fact that we were still able to kind of shrug that news off. There was a little back and forth between is there going to be a small stimulus package for the airlines, or have to be attached to something bigger? Again, the end result here is that we did end up still positive, and I think that's a little bit impressive and shows a little resilience. There is something to just kind of note. As you noted, with the small caps kind of showing strength, there could be a little bit of jostling here. If you pull up the Qs, we can see that the Qs look very different from the Nasdaq Composite. So the Qs, of course, are looking at the Nasdaq 100. That's the 100 largest non-financial companies on the Nasdaq, and you can see that we still have yet to cross that October 1st high. And one of the things that we keep on mentioning is, while the follow-through day that we got the confirmed uptrend with happened on the Dow Jones Industrial Average on the 30th of September, we have yet to get the official follow-through day on the Nasdaq Composite. Now, you only need it to happen on one index, but what's interesting is we've had 5 days that have hit the level for the price, but we still haven't gotten that volume to come in at the appropriate level.
Yeah, definitely a good point. And while we're at it here, why don't we just throw in a chart of the iShares Russell 2000, because this has been a nice breakout. You can see the index reversed lower when it tried to, or the IWM reversed lower earlier this week when it tried to clear the 160 level, but it was up nicely on Wednesday and then up nicely again today. So small caps still doing quite well here.
Yeah, and of course that reversal happened when the Trump tweet came out that he was telling his negotiators to walk away from the table on the stimulus, and so again, it has recovered. And this was probably the harder hit index, the Russell 2000, the small caps, and the slower one to recover. But it's looking much stronger now, and it's probably boosted a little bit by financials and some other names that kind of make up that small cap space.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. Well, a good day for semiconductor stocks. A big reason why the Nasdaq ended with another gain at last check. The SMH, the I can't think of the
semiconductor ETF.
The semiconductor ETF SMH was up 1% or so today. But let's start by taking a look at Taiwan Semiconductor, which rallied for the second straight session. And what do you think about TSM stock here?
Let's go ahead and start on a weekly chart on this one, because I think the action just kind of shows how much it flattened out there. And this is one where, rather than pulling back to the 50-day moving average line or the 10-week moving average line, it really just kind of flattened out and let that line catch up to it. So I really like that flat action. You can just see it was hardly moving. But then now if we flip back to the daily, you can kind of see that there was this little consolidation, cup consolidation that it was coming out of after it kind of had a failed breakout. And that's what we were kind of trying to deal with on leaderboard. We had put it on with that breakout before above 84, and it immediately started pulling in. And this is one that we held on to apart, and then we reestablish that full that half position in this stock based on the strength that we were seeing over the last few days. And now we're back above that 86.79 high, and so this is looking like one of the stronger names in the group. But there's a lot of them. The semiconductors, we went over that in IBD Live today. There's a lot of names to choose from in that space, and as you mentioned, the VanEck Semiconductor ETF was looking strong today as well, outperforming
Yes. Yeah, the
all the
VanEck
indexes.
Vectors Semiconductor ETF. That's a mouthful, but
Right.
that's it. But yeah, TSM really tested our patience on
Yeah.
leaderboard right here when it fell below the 50-day moving average. We said, well, let's wait until the end of the day, see if we can get a decent close, and then that's exactly what happened, and it's been in rally mode ever since. So the news on TSM, first of all, they're going to be reporting earnings next week
Right.
on Thursday, and they announced September sales today up 24.9%. Apple is a big customer of TSM, as well as China-based Huawei, AMD, Nvidia. So this is really the 800-pound gorilla in the semiconductor space. We'll see what earnings look like next week. You mentioned a good day for home building stocks, so let's take a look at Pulte, PHM Pulte Group, and this is a nice looking chart as well here, Justin.
Yeah, so nice flat base, kind of crossed that 48 area a few days ago, and the housing stocks were coming in a little bit. We were seeing that as the 10-year Treasury was increasing for a few days there, as you know. People were kind of selling bonds, and there's an inverse relationship there. As they sell bonds, that puts the yield up. As they buy them, it puts the yield down. So that yield was going up, and that maybe kind of frighten people a little bit that, hey, look, rates can't stay this low forever, and it's kind of one of those things that's helping the housing stocks. But it's quickly recovered, even though the 10-year Treasury is still kind of up there. I mean, again, all-time lows, but up there in relative terms to recent action. But the housing stocks all seem to be taking turns breaking out.
Yeah.
LGIH was one that we covered last week. DHI before that, they just all seem to be doing a very similar thing here, breaking
Yeah, I
out
think
of sound bases and
talked
strong
about
relative strength lines.
yeah, I talked about it with Ed, I think on yesterday's show that, amid a lot of worries about, stimulus and a lot of worries about the economy and how it's going to hold up into 2021. When you look at the action in home building stocks and a lot of your transportation stocks and retail stocks, I know we're going to look at a retailer in just a moment, but boy, the strength in all of these areas of the economy really does not, seem to be, they seem to be forecasting a pretty good 2021. So we'll have to see. Anyway, so
Yeah.
we just looked at Pulte Group, and now let's look at our final stock, Five Below. Another decent looking chart here.
Yeah, so this one is, I mean, throughout that whole September correction, this one basically said what correction? I mean, it did come down, but it never even got down to its 50-day moving average line. So that's quite a bit of strength right there. Now it's been kind of holding in a fairly tight area over the last few weeks. It's not really a base at this point. The prior base was that breakout from 115.27 buy point,
Right.
and we quickly got a 20% gain in that for this particular stock, and it's come in a little bit, but it really held the majority of those gains, and that's one of the things that we really like to see. And so again, this is not alone. None of these stocks are alone in their group. There's a lot of support among their group mates, so they're showing strength in strong groups, and this just kind of cleared resistance over the last few weeks as it got above the 131, 132 area, and a strong close for the day, especially as it was kind of going into the close at the end of the day. So I should mention that I actually picked up some shares myself at the last 15 minutes here.
Gotcha. Well, it's ironic. The breakout here was on earnings, and I believe it was on September 3rd, on a day that saw the Nasdaq plunge almost
Right.
five
Yeah.
percent. So
Yeah.
it was a really nice earnings report from Five Below. It's doing just what you want to see a stock do after a breakout: hold gains, trade tightly. There's a kind of relatively new CEO on board at Five Below, who actually used to run was the president and CEO of Walmart.com in the
Mhm.
U.S. So he's got some pedigree, and the stock continues to act well. So
And look, the fundamentals are kind of a little sketchy right now. It had some negative revenue growth, and then it had kind of some mediocre revenue growth in this last quarter, and profits weren't there. But again, with a lot of these, you have to expect that there's going to be some adjustment as they kind of recover from the shutdown. But again, overall, this is something that still seems to be on the radar of investors, and looks pretty solid with that tight action.
Yeah, retail stocks still looking very good. All right. Well, thanks very much for your insight, Justin. That'll do it for today. Thanks very much for joining us. And if you haven't checked out IBD Live yet, please check it out at investors.com/IBD Live. We'll be back on the air tomorrow morning at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Time, dissecting the market, taking a look at early pre-market movers, and just doing what we do every morning. So that's IBD Live. You can go to investors.com/IBD Live and take a trial. Hope to see you there. Until then, we will see you tomorrow. Justin and Ed will have the end of week stock market today video. Have a great evening, everybody.